I originally didn't plan on seeing Conclave. It looked like it maybe had potential, but these types of thrillers don't really interest me all that much. But then I was looking at Gold Derby and saw the movie was pretty likely to be nominated for Best Picture and a bunch of other awards. So I figured, what the heck. I'll cough up the $8.12, risk my life on the Texas roadways, and go see it for myself. And I'm glad I did see the movie, but oh boy, is it going to be controversial. Let's just rip the band-aid off right now. A lot of Catholics might feel offended by this movie, especially with how it ends and how a lot of the higher-ups in the Catholic Church are characterized. The film really plays into the notion that some cardinals in the church are there in service of their own wants and ambitions, and not there in the service of God. And I'm not here to say what's offensive or not, but I do think the movie is actually kinda shallow. Maybe even purposely shallow. You have different cardinals on both sides of this conclave who are cartoonishly biased. Stanley Tucci's character, Bellini, is the more liberal candidate, and that's pretty much his whole character. And on the flip side, you have Tedesco, who's the more conservative candidate, who goes on these hateful tirades. And then you have Ralph Fiennes' character, who's just like, I thought we were supposed to be serving God. My viewing experience for this movie was interesting to say the least. There was just me, an old couple in the row above me, and then like 4 or 5 middle-aged gentlemen sprinkled around. And in my experience, when men get to that age, they tend to treat the movie theater like they're watching a movie at home. So these guys would laugh, gasp, and snicker in the most loud and obnoxious ways possible. And oh boy, were they laughing at many of the conversations and rants the characters would have in the movie. Conclave just gets more and more unserious the more I think about it. But I will say, Dean Thomas Lawrence, played by Ralph Fiennes, is easily the best part of the film. He has a really thoughtful story about navigating the conclave and trying to make sure a good choice is selected as Pope. But we also get a lot of insight into Lawrence as a person. He had previously struggled with his faith. Not his faith in God, but his faith in the church. Lawrence echoes a lot of doubt with the church and the cardinals, thinking it's gotten too political and there are too many members who are self-serving. And this doubt makes Lawrence not want to take part in the conclave. He at many times in the film attempts to pass the burden onto someone else, but even so, he feels compelled to continue with managing the conclave, because the task was assigned to him by the previous pope who was his friend. And Ralph Fiennes' performance is incredible. He really delivers in every aspect and fully becomes this character. He at times gives these really powerful speeches, but my favorite scenes of his are the quieter ones. Lawrence is a really empathetic character, and Fiennes showcases that in moments like when he sits down and prays with another cardinal, or when he quietly cries in the previous pope's room, which is some of the most genuine crying I have ever seen in any film. I will say though, I really only cared for his performance. Not to say everyone else in the movie was bad or anything. Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, Isabella Rossellini all give solid performances, but they're nothing spectacular. And I've seen all these actors be exceptional in other projects, but all is well. It seems like we're gearing up for a Kieran Culkin Best Supporting Actor sweep this award season, which is probably the best case scenario. But I have to say, Conclave is technically wonderful. The film was directed by Edward Berger, who directed the All Quiet on the Western Front remake from a couple years back. I think he adds a lot to the visual language of the movie. There are moments with some really strange close-ups that add to the sneakiness to how the characters operate within the conclave. And there are scenes where we witness a conversation from all the way across the room, and it almost feels like we're in the room eavesdropping. Also, the cinematography by Stephanie Fontaine is stunning. It gives the movie a very clean, simple look, and there are tons of gorgeous imagery. The one thing that surprised me the most about Conclave was the score. I don't know if the sound settings in the theater were wonky or what, but man, the music was so incredibly loud. Like something mundane would happen in the film, and then the score would just be like, I just had lunch. It at times just seemed kinda unnecessary to me, and Conclave has a bigger jump scare than any horror movie I've seen this year. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. For a couple seconds there, I thought I was in danger. Crazy theater experience. Something I really want to praise about the movie is the editing, partly because I think the film is really well edited, and also because it was edited by Nick Emerson, and I want to praise fellow Nicks whenever I can. But really, the editing is fluid and engaging, and gives a lot of energy to the slow-natured story. But still, I would have to say my biggest flaw with the movie is the pacing. It is a slow burn movie, and normally I don't have a problem with that, but the story started to get kind of formulaic, and by the end it felt really drawn out. One of the cardinals would be the frontrunner to be the next pope, then Lawrence would hear something unsavory about that candidate. He would do some investigating and find out that person shouldn't become the pope. That person is then out of the race, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. But all in all, I have to say Conclave is still a pretty good time at the movies. It has a bonkers story, a fantastic lead performance, and great directing. It's a solid movie overall, and I think it's definitely worth watching. So I'm going to give Conclave a 7 out of 10. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and leave a like. Also comment down below, let me know what you thought of Conclave. Also make sure to check out the newest video on the main channel, and stay tuned for more movie reviews here.